By now, it is no secret that trading card games have always held a special place in my heart. In this series, Raikourider and myself will be opening 24 packs or one box of a core Yu-Gi-Oh set. We will continue to open a set in chronological order week after week. We will use these cards to construct a deck and then face off against each other in a best 2 out of 3 match. Each match will have 3 prizes up for grabs, with 2 prizes going to the winner and 1 going to the loser. These prizes can range from individual wildcards, to starter or structure decks, to sealed booster packs, or even event cards that were only handed out at select tournaments. However, we cannot rest on our laurels. Between the ever-evolving nature of the Forbidden and Limited list, the cards that we ourselves choose to remove from the game, and the way that the game itself changes throughout the years, all of our matches will increase in complexity and also remain fresh. This is yet another Yu-Gi-Oh! Progression series. Okay, so unfortunately for us, last episode did not pan out as I had hoped. However, given what we hit on the wheel, it kinda doesn't matter. I mean, shit, we hit 6 wildcards of anything we wanted. So, you know what? I think that kinda counts as a win in my book. So, and with those cards, hopefully we'll snap this losing streak and come back on our own. So, this is Stardust Overdrive. This is a set that released in November of 2009, and this set's actually pretty notable for having not necessarily a powerful archetype in itself. I mean, this card, the set has a couple Infernity cards. It does have the Spider archetype, and it does have the Reptilian archetype, but the reality is those 2 archetypes themselves didn't exactly do a whole lot in general. However, there are quite a few key cards that came out in this set that help out a lot of different decks in general. Looking at the start, we see 2 of the big ones right off the bat. We have Quick Draw Synchron and Level Eater. Quick Draw Synchron has the effect that you could summon it by sending a monster in your hand to the graveyard to special summon this card. And while it can only be used for a synchro summon of a monster that lists a Synchron tuner as material, it can be used as any of those Synchron monsters. Which means that you could summon out Junk Warrior, Turbo Warrior, Nitro Warrior, Road Warrior, etc. You could summon all of those using this card. Now, the nice thing is, Level Eater pairs very nicely with Quick Draw in order to summon out Junk Warrior specifically, because if this card's in your graveyard, you could pick a level 5 or higher monster, drop its level by 1, and special summon this monster. So this in Quick Draw essentially becomes a 1 summon Junk Warrior. And given the fact that Level Eater can work with Synchro monsters as well, that means that if you need an extra body on the field just as a safety measure, it works out. And honestly, just the fact that these 2 are in common is a very good thing in general. So let's go through, let's look at the rest of the comments, kind of pay attention to what we can. Swamp Frog is a very notable card, and a huge one at that. You can summon this card from your hand by pitching a water monster from your hand, and when it's summoned, you could mill out a level 2 or level 2 or lower water aqua monster from your deck, or from the field to the graveyard. Basically, anyone who has seen or played frogs know exactly what this card can do. And then the fact that you could bounce it back to your hand in order to get another normal summon, it's kind of nice, but that's usually not what people do with it. Usually they will pitch a card, summon this card, mill a card, bounce it, and repeat. And basically, if this card helps create one of the most powerful engines in the game, and this is one of the reasons why Substitute ended up getting banned, because this kind of thing allowed for Frog OTK to become a thing, and quite frankly, it absolutely should have gotten nailed at some point. Scrolling a little more down here, we see Gemini Spark, which actually helps out the Gemini archetype. It lets you tribute a face-up level 4 Gemini monster, pop a card on the field, and then draw a card. So this essentially lets you... It essentially goes neutral because you're giving up 2 cards to draw a card and pop a card. The nice thing about Gemini Spark, though, is that it doesn't require the Gemini monster to have its effect active, which is nice. So, honestly, this is probably one of the better cards, and in fact, if this card came out back when Geminis first came out, I feel like Geminis probably would have been a lot better off. And then, scrolling a little more down here, we see some stuff that helps with Earthbound Immortal specifically, but they're not necessarily amazing. I don't think we'll necessarily focus on them. Appointer of the Red Lotus, though, is an interesting card. You pay 2,000 life points, reveal every card in your hand, and then you get to look at your opponent's hand and banish a card until the opponent's next end phase. This is actually not a horrible card in itself. The only thing is, for our purposes, it's not as good simply because we still have access to Trap Dust Shoot, or, well, that one's banned, but you get what I mean. We still have access to things like Mind Crush. We still have access to other ways that let us, like, we basically have access to the cards that allow us to look at the opponent's hand that normally are banned, so this card basically is replacing stuff that we already have access to, but it's still a neat card nonetheless. So looking in the rares, there's actually not very much that matters in this regard. The only one I would necessarily say is something to focus on would be Earthbound Immortal Revival, and this card basically lets you pitch a card from your hand to add an Earthbound Immortal monster and a field spell in your graveyard back to your hand. It does make you go neutral at the end of it, and given the fact that both Ryan and I have Earthbound Immortals, this actually might be kind of important, especially given the fact that this is going to be a normal duel, so we aren't going to have Speed World automatically active. But honestly, even this is still a little iffy, so I'm not sure how we're going to fare with that. Scrolling down here, where are the super rares actually? Oh, they're up here. Okay, so the super rares, again, there's not too many that's like ridiculously powerful. Majestic Dragon's kind of neat to get out the majestic upgrades of the Synchro monster, of the Signer Dragons. The problem is this card can only be used for those majestic monsters. So if we pull this and we don't hit the boss monsters to go with it, then this card basically is just dead to us. However, there is actually 2 cards in this set, in this group, that actually matter a lot. Preparation of Rites is the first one. If you have a ritual deck, this is really good because it lets you add a ritual monster, level 7 or lower, from your deck to your hand, and then you get to add a ritual spell from your graveyard to your hand. What this means is, this essentially gives you the opportunity to get a full set for the rituals to go. The only downside is the ritual spell has to be from the graveyard, so generally speaking, you have to have either given it up for some other reason, or you had to have already activated a ritual. Still a good card in general, though. And then we have the big card, Gateway of the Six. This card had been banned for a very long time, and actually is still limited to this day. This card is basically the poster child of the Six Samurai archetype. Every time a Six Samurai monster is normal or special summoned, you place 2 Bushido counters on it. And then you can remove a number of Bushido counters from your field to activate these effects. These effects are not once per turn, mind you. You do not have to worry about only activating one of these effects once per each turn. And you can actually remove the counters from anywhere on the field. So, if you have multiple cards that pick up Bushido counters, this card can go nuts. You could send 2 counters away to give a six Samurai or Xian monster you control 500 attack until the end of the turn. You can remove 4 counters to add a 6 Samurai monster from your deck or graveyard to your hand. When we get to the legendary 6 Samurais, and Keyzon especially, this effect is going to be a huge pain in the ass for someone. And then you can remove 6 counters to target a Xian effect monster in your graveyard and special summon it. Unfortunately, we do not have a lot of the 6 Samurai cards at the moment, and in fact, I'm going to have to double check to find out if there's a way for us to get a Great Shogun Xian, because that actually is going to make a difference if we can have access to that or not. But overall, this card is just madness. And honestly, I'd say it's the best super rare of the set. possibly even the best card of the set, period. So scrolling into the ultra rares here, we actually see a few other notable cards. So the obvious cards are the rest of the Earthbound Immortals, which are Kokoraya, Uru, and Raska. I probably butchered that name, but oh well. And these are the Earthbound Immortals for Misty, Roman, and Rex, respectively. Each of them are all kind of interesting, and they all have their good benefits. It's just that, realistically, we already have Kokopakapu, which is a really strong card in general, so unless we pull these and have a good use for them, we're probably not going to pay attention to them too much. And then we see Majestic Star Dragon, which is the Majestic upgrade of Stardust Dragon. The downside to this is that it requires you to have a level 1 monster as well as Majestic Dragon and Stardust. Or more accurately, you could have a different level monster. The problem is Majestic Dragon is 1, Stardust is 8, so barring some kind of level shenanigans, you're going to need a level 1 monster. And it's a really good card. It's a really powerful card, and it even floats into Stardust. If this card, if you want, you could float this card back to the extra deck and summon out Stardust Dragon again, which isn't too bad. It's just, it's a lot of work to summon it out, and it's not necessarily worth it in some cases. Explosive Magician's another interesting synchro. It requires a tuner and a non-tuner spellcaster, and it comes with the effect that you can remove 2 spell counters on the field to target a spell or trap the opponent controls and pop it. The downside to this, though, is while it isn't once per turn, it doesn't have any way of getting spell counters itself compared to, say, Arcanite Magician. So you kind of have to have an established board in order to actually make use of this effect. And given the fact that we still have some level of spell and trap removal in general, it's not as good as it could be for us. And then scrolling down, we see into the secret rares, and yeah, honestly, the secret rares are kind of nothing to write home about. Dark Simorg's kind of a neat card, but that's about it. Archlord Christie is actually the one that I would say is more important for me, since I do have a bit of fairy support. So if you have 4 fairies in your graveyard exactly, you can summon this card from your hand, and if you do so, you can add a fairy from your graveyard back to your hand, and while it's on the field, neither player can special summon a monster. And if this card would be destroyed and sent to the graveyard, you place it on top of the deck instead. That last effect kind of sucks, because unless you have a way to guarantee your next turn you'll have 4 fairies in your graveyard, it basically blanks your draw, which isn't the best. That being said, it is a powerful card, and who knows, we might make some use of it. But we're going to go ahead, pull our packs, and see what we could come up with. Okay, so 24 packs of Stardust Overdrive. Honestly, I'm not really sure what all I want to see out of here. I think mostly I just want to see the quick draw synchrons and a couple level leaders, and that's really the only things I really want to see. Gateway would be amazing, though. So let's flip up the first, and okay, so first off we see a Swap Frog. That's actually good. If we see 2 more of these, that'll be perfect. The rest of the pack, however, is kind of whatever, to be entirely honest. Like, there isn't anything in here that I would say is ridiculously powerful. Still, the fact that we see a Swap Frog right off the bat is a good start. Okay, so there's a Gemini Spark. That's actually not too bad. We see a Limit Impulse, which isn't a bad card necessarily. Send 2 cards from your hand to the grave to summon 2 soul tokens. They can't be tributed except for a tribute summon. It basically is a way to work around getting your Earthbound Immortals out. The only downside is, since you have to send 2 cards from your hand to the graveyard, it does make it a bit costly. Still not the worst, though. That looks like that's about it, though. Okay, so there's another another Gemini Spark. That's nice. And we see a Stardust Xiaolong, which is actually the card Yusei always used to get out Majestic Star Dragon. If you have this card in your graveyard, when you Synchro Summon a Stardust Dragon, you could bring this card out. And, I mean, it's a decent card, but it's not necessarily amazing. And the fact that you effectively have to dump this card to the graveyard early on to make good use of it is a little troubling. Still good, though. Still interesting. Oh, okay, so here's an interesting pack. So first off, we have our second Swap Frog. That's good to see. An Appointer of the Red Lotus is whatever for now. Moray of Greed, that's our third copy, I believe, already. And an Ice Queen Secret Rare. I don't actually remember what this does. Let's see, can't be special summoned from the graveyard. That kind of sucks. When this card is destroyed and sent to the graveyard, you can target a spell in your grave, add it to your hand, but you must have 3 or more spellcasters in your graveyard to activate this effect. Okay, so this is actually not that bad. I mean, granted, it sucks that you have to have 3 or more spellcasters already in the graveyard to use this, but the fact that you can recur a spell upon it dying is not bad. And the fact that it doesn't have any other restrictions on how to cheat it out aside from just not in the graveyard, that's actually not the worst. Overall, not too bad. Let's see. Rinyan, the Lightsworn Rogue. What is this card? Flip, target a Lightsworn in your graveyard, shuffle it into the deck, draw a card. Okay. Nothing special there. Ooh, okay. A Blackwing Silverwind the Ascendant. It's an interesting ultra rare, but probably not the strongest one I'd want to see. This card requires a Blackwing tuner and 2 or more non-tuners. Now, it does have the effect that when it's summoned, you could target 2 face-up monsters with defense lower than its attack and destroy them. The only downside is you can't conduct your battle phase that turn. And it has a nice effect that during each of your opponent's turns, the first Blackwing monster you control that would be destroyed in battle is not. So that's actually not too bad. Unfortunately, we don't necessarily... I'm not sure if we're going to run a Blackwing theme at the moment, so... But it's an interesting card nonetheless. And the rest of the pack honestly doesn't look like it's all that special. Oh, okay, here's a good pack. Quick Draw Synchron, that's actually our first one. And the fact that we only have the first one after 11 packs concerns me a little bit. But we also hit an Earthbound Immortal Kokoraya, which is actually one of the better ones, I want to say. If it's destroyed by a card effect, except its own effect, you destroy all cards on the field. This is actually not the worst. And in fact, this is actually a pretty decent card because since it doesn't have to worry about... as long as it's destroyed by your card effect, it doesn't matter where it goes, which is kind of nice. That being said, the big one I'm thinking is Bottomless Trap Hole, and we've already banned that, so... I don't know. Still, pretty good card, though. Oh. Okay, so, okay, first off, Lord British Space Fighter, that's kind of nice. I actually forgot that the pack likes to give soul tokens occasionally in here. So, I need to actually consult with Raikourider and figure out what we need to do for that. Okay, so thanks to Yu-Gi-Oh! Pro's pack opener being stupid sometimes, we're going to have to make a slight adjustment to this. And specifically, the soul token that is right here is not listed in the card list, as we saw. It is not listed in the Wikia's card set list for this set. It is not listed anywhere in Konami's database for the set list. This literally is not supposed to be there in any shape or form for the pack opener. But because it is, we're going to just, in this case, open a new pack of Stardust Overdrive and only focus on this specific card. Because it's the same card, same slot, so we'll just flip this card and go with that one. So it'll be an Enlightenment, which I think we've actually already got a playset of, but that's whatever. So we're just going to go with that route, because we just can't, there's nothing else we could do. If this would have actually been an official card listed in the set, then it would have just been a case of, well, we're screwed out of a common. But in this case, that's not really what's going to happen. But we're halfway through. Hopefully we'll see what happens. Oh my god! Yes! Oh shit! Oh man, I'm even more mad at that token because that held me off for about 20 minutes before I could figure out the answer. And damn! Damn! That's a good pack. Okay, so Stardust Xiaolong again, that's whatever. We have, I think that's our second one, who gives a fuck. But Gateway of the Six. God, if we can pull what we need to fit to actually build the Six Samurai deck in full force, this card is gonna be goddamn crazy. Oh my god. Oh, I'm excited now. I'm really excited. I think all we need now is like one, maybe two more quick draw synchron, and we're pretty much golden. Ooh, a Clear Vice Dragon secret rare. Okay, so there's actually a bit of lore to this card. Specifically, in, I believe it was the GX manga, there was a card called Clear World, which is a secret rare in this set too, that has effects that basically negatively impact a player depending on the type of monsters they control. Specifically, the type of attribute they control. So, Clear Vice Dragon is basically the boss monster of that card, and here it shows what it can do. It's unaffected by the effects of Clear World, meaning that it doesn't count for Dark Attribute. And in fact, in the manga, the Clear monsters that were associated with the character that ran that card, all had the effect that said they were not treated as X archetype, or X attribute. So, they don't have that here, but it's kind of neat still. If this card attacks an opponent's monster, the attack of this card becomes twice the attack of that target. That's not bad. And if it would be destroyed by your opponent's card effect, you could discard a card instead. Okay, so this is actually kind of interesting. The only negative I see out of this, though, is the fact that... just the fact that, one, it's 2 tribute, and 2, if your opponent attacks it, then it doesn't actually help you, because it still keeps an attack of 0. Which kind of sucks, but still a neat card nonetheless, so I'll give it that. And looking at the rest of the pack, it looks like there's nothing too spectacular, so that's okay. Okay, so 3 packs left of Stardust Overdrive, and we've had some interesting situations come up, so we've got some pretty good cards. We've had an interesting situation pull up with the token. Hopefully we don't have to deal with that again. So let's flip, and nothing special here. Another Gemini counter is kind of neat, but given the fact that we already banned Gigaplant, I don't think Gemini is going to really come back that much. Let's see what else we hit. Nothing special here, it looks like. Okay, last pack, can we hit something neat in the close? Looks like we did not. Okay, so that kind of bites, but you know what? No big deal. And I already see 2 Enlightenment out of the list right here as it is. I'm willing to bet my bottom dollar that we have a third. Yep, there's the third there. So, as it turns out, that whole soul token thing doesn't even matter in the long run, so... But we're going to see what we could come up with. Hopefully, we've got quite a few options, especially after these wild cards. So, we'll see what we come up with, and stay tuned. Okay, so here's the deck we're bringing to tonight's duel, and honestly, I feel like this is something that Rai might sort of expect, but I doubt it. But we're running our Gladiator Beasts finally. And yeah, you're not looking at this wrong. This is 45 cards. The reason is because, number 1, we actually have a fair amount of cards that'll help us search, which is good. And 2, it's honestly really hard for me to actually cut this down any further. Like, it actually was very close to being a 50-card deck, but I managed to cut 5 cards that, truthfully, I did not want to cut, but... yeah, so we're sticking with 45. So let's go through the card by card here. First up, we have 1 copy of Cyberjar. The good thing about Cyberjar is basically going to be that it helps fill our board, potentially, because the only Gladiator Beasts in our deck, or rather the only monsters in our deck that don't get summoned off it are Spartacus. Everything else is level 4 and lower, so it gets brought out. 1 copy of Bestiari. This is going to be extra spell and trap removal, which is very nice, and it goes into our friend Geyserus down here. 1 copy of Darius. This will help us get out another Gladiator Beast. 1 copy of Dimakari, can attack twice. 1 copy of Gladiator Beast Equest. This will let us retrieve a Gladiator Beast card in our graveyard when it's popped out. 3 copies of Hoplimus. The reason for this is because it's a good defense, and on top of that, it also lets us get out Spartacus. 1 copy of Liquari, thank God we actually pulled this. Two copies of Murmillo. I feel like Murmillo is going to be one of the more important glads to pull out at certain points, so having 2 copies is going to be a crucial thing for us. 2 copies of Spartacus. This will let us get our equipped spells, and on top of that, it's also a 2200 attacker, which is pretty good. And then we have 1 Plague Spreader Zombie, 1 Psychic Commander, 1 Sandkin, 2 Test Tiger. The fact that we had 2 Test Tiger alone is what made me really want to focus on this deck when we could. And 1 Witch of the Black Forest. For our spells, we have 2 Book of Moon, 1 copy of Colosseum Cage of the Gladiator Beasts. I kind of wish we had more than 1 copy of this, but oh well. 1 Giant Trunade, 2 Gladiator Beasts Battle Gladius. This will let the monster gain 300 attack, and when the monster tags out, this card goes back to our hand. 2 copies of Gladiator Beasts Battle Halberd. It lets us pop a spell or trap card when our monster attacks, and it pops back to our hand when they tag out. 2 copies of Gladiator Beasts Battle Manica. This keeps the monster from being destroyed in battle, and it bounces back to our hand. 3 copies of Gladiator Proving Ground, basically the Gladiator Beast version of Reinforcement of the Army. 1 Heavy Storm, 1 Mystical Space Typhoon, and 1 Pot of Greed. For our traps, we have 1 Call of the Haunted, 1 Magic Cylinder, 2 No Entry. This is so that way if he gets something bigger on the field, we could shut that attack down and then either beat over it or at least ram into it to take some damage and then get out into something that can take care of it, like Murmillo. 2 Sakuretsu Armor, 1 Scrap Iron Scarecrow, 1 Trap Jammer. This is actually pretty much for the sake of dealing with Mirror Force, because Mirror Force or Dimensional Prison will fuck us up. And if he manages to deal with one of our big monsters in the process, like if he manages to deprison Bestiari, for example, then we are going to be in a lot of trouble. And then 2 copies of Waboku. This will help protect our monsters and our life points, and if he attacks us, that means that we can still tag out at the end of that fight. For our side deck, we have Cyber Dragon. Again, if he's running some kind of machine deck, this will help out those monsters. 1 Exile Force, an extra copy of Darius in case we need it, an extra copy of a quest in case we decide that's necessary, 1 Kree 1 Brain Control, 1 Dark Hole, 1 Emergency Teleport. I figure if we bring in the Kree we'll have 2 targets for this card, which will be kind of nice. An extra 1 copy of Gladiator Beast Respite. Basically, this lets us shuffle 2 of our Glads back into our deck from our hand and draw 3 cards. It goes neutral, but if we have a bunch of Glads in our hands that we don't want, this will let us bring them back into the deck and be useful. 1 copy of Pot of Avarice in case we end up on the back foot a bit. 1 copy of Swords of Revealing Light, 3 copies of Negate Attack, and our 1 Ring of Destruction. For our extra deck, we have 1 copy of Chimera Tech Fortress Dragon, we have Gladiator Beast Gyodius, we have 1 copy of Geyserus, 1 copy of Heraclinos. These 2 are going to be the big ones, and very helpful for us if we could get them out. And then for our Synchros, we have Arcanite Magician, Black Rose Dragon, which we just picked up, Colossal Fighter, Gaia Force of Earth, Goyo Guardian, Iron Chain Dragon, Psychic Life Transfer ×2, 1 RDA, 1 Stardust Dragon, and 1 Thought Ruler Archfiend. So guys, this is going to be an interesting duel, and I have a lot of faith in this one. So we're going to see what happens, but ladies and gentlemen, it is time to duel.
Drive is certainly one of the least impactful sets we've had in a while, but they're coming. And this is going to be an impactful set for another reason that we'll get to through the duel.
Yeah. Now, that's the thing, though. This set itself doesn't carry very many powerful cards, but it actually does. It does introduce 1 new card, and at common at that actually is going to play a pretty big part in the general meta starting with the next set. So that'll be interesting to see once we get to that point.
And we're also 1 set away from quite an exciting time in the history of the game, but we have this set to get through first.
Yes, we do. Ooh, that's a good start for me.
That is, considering you're on a pretty big losing streak.
Yep, well, hopefully I can snap that. But I'll take the play.
Well, good luck to you.
Alright, so draw, standby main. Let's see. I think... I think I'm going to start by setting one card, setting a monster, and then setting 2 back row.
Draw for turn, standby, main. I think I'm going to do the same. Go.
Alright. Draw. Standby, main. Ooh, that's not a bad one. Okay, so I think I'm going to take a chance. I'll activate Mystical Space Typhoon, target your face down here.
You got a pretty good one. You got Bribe.
Ooh, Dark Bribe. Okay. That's pretty good. Then... what do I want to do next? I think I'm going to... you know what? I think it's time for me to reveal what I'm doing. I'm going to start by activating Gladiator Proving Ground.
Interesting. I wonder why you weren't playing this before.
Any response?
No, that's good.
Alright, let's see. I think I'm going to add a copy of... I think I will add a copy of Gladiator Beast Laquari to my hand.
Jelly.
Then I'm going to run out my Laquari.
You have a Laquari.
I will flip summon my Darius.
That seems good.
And I'm going to go into battle. And let's hit Laquari into your defense.
It's Witch.
Okay.
Witch is gonna get me...
Sirocco. Okay. And... okay, and Darius will hit for 17.
17 in. Do your things.
Alright, so at the end of battle phase, Darius will tag out first.
Yep.
We will bring out Bestiari. And then we'll bring Laquari. Bring out...
Bestiar, these are actually on separate chains. So before you it's not going to matter for searching purposes, but I am going to go ahead and chain the back row, which is going to be MST.
Okay, and that'll be my sack.
That's a pretty good thing to hit, but yeah, you can tag out now.
Okay, and I think I'm going to bring out... I think I'm going to go ahead and bring out a copy of Hoplamus.
Yep. That seems okay.
So we'll do that to indicate that. Main phase 2, I will activate Gladiator Beast Battle Manica and equip it to my Bestiari.
Yeah, that seems pretty good.
And I will pass.
Draw for turn, standby phase, main phase. I'm going to activate... God, that's so good. That is so good. Well, I don't think there's a way I'm not firing Whirlwind.
Yeah, that makes sense. So the question now becomes, what are you going to do beyond that?
It's not great, but I think I know what I have to do.
Alright. Let's see what you got.
I'm gonna normal Sirocco trigger Black Whirlwind.
Okay.
I'm gonna grab a copy of... Bora to hand.
I'm not surprised.
I'll special this Bora. I'm going to go ahead and activate the effect of Sirocco targeting Bora, so Bora will become a 37.
Okay.
I'll go to the battle phase, and I'm just going to crush this Hoplimus, and you'll take 13.
Alright. I will take the 13.
Just unfortunately, I don't really have a good answer for Bestiari, so I'll pass the turn.
Alright. Draw. Standby main. That's actually an interesting card, but unfortunately not one I want to make use of at the moment. However, I do have this as an option. So, I'm gonna normal summon my Gladiator Beast Murmillo.
I know. If you're playing Gladiator Beast, you must have gotten a craft. Or you just pulled this and have been missing something else. I get the feeling my board is getting blown up. Yep.
Yes, it is. So we will pop the Black Whirlwind and the Sirocco.
Yep, and then the Bora is going to get run over in combat, probably.
Yeah, we're gonna go ahead, slam it down.
Damage step.
Oh, you've got a collude, don't you?
I do.
Ah!
So the Bora goes to 31.
And that was on... that was on me, because I should have attached Battle Manica to that. That was a screw-up on my part, but... oh well. Alright. Good to go.
I mean, it's your first time with the deck, so this is to be expected. And if
True.
you would have been playing this deck since Duelist Genesis if this wasn't a craft. Draw for turn, standby phase, main phase.
Yeah, remember how last episode I ended up with the 6 total wildcard any? Let's just say I ended up...
6 crafts?
Yeah, remember? I hit 2 of those spins in a row.
Jesus Christ. I mean, well, that's gonna fix stuff. That's for sure.
Let me put it this way. Half of them went into Glad stuff.
Well, I guess we're gonna be playing Glad Mirrors for a while then. Who's good at Glad Mirrors is the question.
Yeah, that's gonna be one slight issue on my end, because you have a lot more experience than I do with this kind of deck.
How hard do I want to push is the question. Honestly, I kind of want to just go gung-ho at this point. I'm going to go ahead and run out this Mistral.
Minstrel? Ooh. Okay, so you're going into a 6, obviously, but...
and then I'm going to go ahead and fire off a Pre-Mat.
Pre-Mat? Oh, I forgot you had this.
I actually just picked this up.
Oh,
so
you
didn't
did?
know I had it.
Oh.
Yeah, I just pulled that. Oh, that was a misclick.
Wait, was this
in
gold?
No, that was in Retro Pack 2.
Oh, goodness. Wow.
That was the reprint pack that just got added to the wheel.
Ooh, that's a good one then. Yeah.
So I'm gonna pre-mat for Witch, and then I'm gonna sink.
So you're gonna make a 6 then, because I doubt you can't make the dragon that you got, but that's really good.
I really hate to do this, but I'm just gonna commit to Goyo.
Oh, you got a Goyo.
This was a craft.
Oh, okay. This is a bit of an issue now.
So I'm going to go ahead and trigger Witch of the Black Forest, and I'm going to go ahead and grab myself a copy of... See, this is where having Gale would be so nice. But,
Yeah, because you can't just pick up another boar to drop on us.
I'm going to go ahead and make you play around Collude again.
Oh, boy.
And then I'll go Battle Phase and just hit for 45.
Yeah, I'll take that. I don't like it, but...
And then I'll pass the turn.
Alright, draw. Standby, main. Ooh. I'm going to set a monster, set a card, and I will pass.
Boy, if that's exactly Sakuretsu, that's a huge problem. Draw for turn, standby phase, main phase. Let's go ahead and proceed to... I'm going to normal Blizzard here. Target the... Probably just the Collude. That good?
That's good.
I'm going to proceed to battle. And I probably should play this safe. Yeah, I'm going to play this safe. I'm going to go ahead and attack with Goyo.
I am so glad you did that, because you flipped my Cyber Jar! And
yeah,
if you would have attacked with Boar, I was dead.
I was trying to play around Sack. Yeah, that's pretty good.
Now the question is, what's going to happen here? Oh, shit. Oh, that's not good.
Oh, yeah, I picked up this too.
Oh, I didn't even notice the TT. I just saw the Feign. Actually, yeah, you know what? I'm just gonna go straight to that, because Feign plus Collude means I'm phoned.
Yeah, and there was another Collude in there too.
Yeah, that would have been hit hard.
Yeah, that's not the way I was expecting you to find out about the TT.
Okay, so that was a game.
Was a game. Another thing, I didn't think I would ever be upset to get a high rarity craft, because I actually need low rarity crafts bad.
Right. Well, I'll say this much. The fact that you crafted Goyo makes me a little safer, because that means that you're probably not going to turn around and hit it with the Banhammer now. At least not for a while.
So I was this close to crafting another Test Tiger.
Oh, boy. Okay, so I'll draw, standby main.
Clearly it was the wrong decision, because if you're playing a core like this, then obviously you're not going to ban Bestiari.
Right. Okay, I'm gonna start by activating my Gladiator Proving Ground.
That seems good.
Let's see, what can I add?
Maybe when we get the Glad support later on, somebody will actually have Ash.
Maybe.
Although I don't think you would Ash this anyway.
Think I'll add Hop.
Well, that's pretty good.
This is a tough one, because the fact that you have Kalute makes things a lot tougher too, because that means Hoplomys isn't as big a wall as it usually is.
No, it isn't.
I'm going to set a monster, set a card, and pass.
That's exactly the reason why people got frustrated with Blackwings back in 2009. Anyway, standby main. I'm gonna fire an allure.
Yeah, that's good. God damn.
Draw a couple.
I mean, I can't complain. I pulled like 2 of these in our offline series, so...
Oh man, I hate to do this. Really hate to do this, but I am going to banish a blizzard.
Blizzard? Okay.
Shura?
Thinking.
Alright.
Let's see.
Okay, so you were still thinking on summon of Sirocco.
Right. I think I'm best off flipping my Book of Moon now.
Yeah, that's fair.
Because otherwise, you're going to be off to the races, and that's not a good start for me.
Well, not like I'm attacking Sirocco with,
No, but if you
Into
drop
Hopperless.
Sirocco, clearly you've got a Bora in hand, so...
I'll just set a couple. Go.
Alright. Draw. Standby, main. Ooh,
I mean, obviously your set's Hopperless.
that's not too bad. Okay. Okay, so first I'm going to flip my Hoplimus.
Yup. Knew that. That's why I didn't. That's why I wasn't planning on attacking anyway.
Let's see. Then I'm going to... How do I want to do this exactly?
If you need to know, Sirocco has 900 defense.
Right, okay. That does not... That itself does not actually help me as much. But... Man, I'm not thrilled about this, but I need to start getting some pressure off. So I'm going to special summon my Test Tiger.
You have a Test Tiger.
I will trigger Test Tiger's effect.
Yup.
Pull and hop.
I mean, if you got that many crafts, then obviously you have a full Glad Core.
Drop
Bestiary.
Bestiary. Let's hit that one.
Yeah, that's fine. I don't like it.
Ooh, okay. Then... God, do I want... The question is, how far do I... What is that other face-down card? That's the big question. Then... As much as I want to run Bestiary in there, I am terrified that this face-down is going to be either a Mirror Force or a D-Prison. If it's Mirror Force, it's not that bad. If it's D-Prison, that's holy hell. So to play around that a little, I'm going to summon out my Plague Spreader Zombie.
On summon of Plague Spreader Zombie, I'm going to Icarus attack to pop your board.
Okay. Okay, that's actually not that bad. I will set a card and I will pass.
Draw for turn, standby phase, main phase. I'm going to fire my other allure.
Yep, that's good.
I'll draw a couple. Banish the Cyber Jar. I also drew Pot of Greed.
Oh, yeah, that's good.
I am going to just set a back row.
Alright. Draw. Standby main. That is not the card I wanted to see. But I guess that... God, that's not what I wanted to see, but... Alright. question is, do I go in now or do I wait? I think I'm going to just set a card and I'll pass.
I'm gonna go ahead and space this.
Damn, that was my no entry.
And no entry's a pretty good one. Draw for turn. Standby phase, main phase. Boy, this doesn't feel good, but I think I need to start putting pressure on. I'm gonna run out Bora.
Okay.
Proceed to battle. Show me the sack.
I do not have the sack.
Or just use life point total, or just use your life total as a resource. I'm gonna set a back row afterward.
Okay.
Pass.
Draw. Standby, son of a bitch. Okay. That's not what I wanted to see, and that's certainly not what I want to use this for. But do I have anything that would necessarily get me out of this is the question. Not. Alright, I'm gonna play safe. I'm gonna set another card and pass.
Alright, draw for turn. Standby phase, main phase. I'm just gonna proceed to battle.
Alright.
17.
I'll take the 17. There we go.
Main phase 2, I'm gonna set another back row and pass.
Okay, draw. Standby main.
Gotta make a move soon, buddy.
Yeah, I don't like this, but finally got something. So I'm gonna run out my Gladiator Beast Darius.
You have a Darius.
Then I'm going to put this card back on top of my deck to
for Plague Spreader.
For Plague Spreader. Then I'm going to activate Gladiator Beast's Battle Manica, targeting my Darius.
Yep.
And then,
you're going to use this to take out the Bora. Yep.
And then I'm going to also flip my Battle Halberd.
Pulls up a back row. So good.
Battle phase. Let's go ahead and crash.
Yeah, that'll clear this out.
And I will.
And then at the end of the damage step. Oh my god, that's so good for you.
Okay, so end of the battle phase. I will put Darius back to the deck. These will go back to my hand.
Oh my god, that's such good value.
The question is, which one do I want to bring out now?
Actually, at least your bestiary. At least your bestiary's gone.
Well, sort of, because I'm gonna special summon my Gladiator Beast Equeste.
Yeah, that's an Equest, so that'll get your bestiary back. I mean, Equest is pretty good.
And then, let's be safe and activate Battle Manica on Equest.
Sure.
And pass.
Draw for turn, standby phase, main phase. Oh, you're not going to like this at all. I am going to Mind Con your Equest. You might remember I acquired this a long time ago.
True. That's going to be rough, because you're either going to sink or... No, you're probably... You're probably going to synchro with it, then, if you're willing to do that. Yeah, sure.
I do have Krebons. You
I
have another Book of Moon? I can't remember. I think Book of Moon's at 2 still.
No response.
Okay, I am in a synchro.
Unfortunately, Battle Manica goes away and does not come back this time.
Boy, I really don't want to commit to Goyo, but I think I have to.
Okay.
think I need to just put as much pressure on the table as possible. I'm gonna call the Haunted Bora.
Ooh. Okay.
Battle phase. 15.
I will take the 15. And unfortunately, that gets banished.
Starter gets banished, and then I'm going to proceed to lose the Scoyo Guardian to a sack.
No, but it is a Book of Moon.
Interesting that you didn't Book of Moon the tuner.
The issue specifically was if I booked the tuner, my end goal was to keep Plague around for the turn. So
okay, that makes sense.
If you hadn't had call, then I would have been okay to do so.
Alright. It'll be your turn. I guess if you were trying to protect the Plague Spreader and not be a Kest, then that makes a ton more sense.
Okay. I don't like this. I really don't like this, but I'm going to summon out Bestiari.
You have a Bestiari.
I will activate Battle Manica.
I am going to Chain Icarus attack.
Ooh.
Kill them both.
Okay. I will set a card and I will pass.
Draw for turn. Standby phase, main phase. Flip the Goyo.
Yep.
Go to battle. 28. Got the sack.
I have a no entry.
Oh, you have no entry. Yeah, that's fine. Main phase 2, I'll set another back row.
I'm safe for another turn. Standby main.
So many battle traps.
God, that's not what I want, but... Alright, let's give this a shot. I don't like this, but I'm going to run out Darius.
That's a Darius.
I will crash into Goyo.
I do have Ring.
And
which should be the end of the game.
Yeah, that's the end. Damn.
Yeah, I mean, Blackwings are super consistent, even though I don't have Gale.
Fucking hell.
But,
Oh, that would have been a friggin' good card. My next card was E-Telly. That would have been kind of helpful.
That must be a craft also.
No, I actually pulled that a while back.
Yeah, the Minecon out of the side was integral in that game.
Yeah, that was actually a pretty good one. A good pickup. So, yeah, okay, so... I'm fine showing off 3 of my wild cards that I picked up.
I figured you crafted a bunch of Glad stuff.
The first was Laquari.
Interesting. Did you not pull a Laquari either?
No. Then,
how did we both not get Laquari? It's a rare.
I know, right? The second one was Geyserus, and then the third one
that was a craft.
Was my Heraclinos.
Yeah, you're on a full Glad core. I figured if you got that many crafts and you hadn't played Glads until now, I figured you were on a full Glad core. So
right,
yeah.
And I'm willing to show my 4th wild card, and you're lucky that I picked this one because otherwise I would have heavily considered for a ban. But
oh, you crafted a Black Rose too?
Yeah, you're not the only one to have a board wipe now. So basically, Goyo Guardian and Black Rose Dragon are now the equivalent of our nukes because we are both sitting here going, if one of us hits the button, the other one goes too.
I figured that was the. It's actually kind of amazing that since we both have those now, we might go an entire round of Synchro Era without having an extra deck monster get banned, which is wild that no extra deck monsters have gotten banned yet.
Well, yeah, and I mean, that's the thing, too. Because of the fact that we have access to, like, multiple rounds of wildcards to work with for this kind of thing, it makes it to where we have chances of getting these to where it's not completely broken. Because, like, otherwise, I'm absolutely certain Goyo would have been banned, at the end of this, otherwise. But
I mean, we'll have to see. That's actually one of the reasons why Because you might have remembered that when I crafted my second allure, I had turned down a Goyo Guardian.
Right.
And then I got another UR craft, and I was thinking about taking a Test Tiger. And I'm like, am I really going to turn Goyo Guardian down again? And I just could not make myself do it. This card is too powerful.
Oh yeah.
Even after we need Earth Tuners for it, because this is pre-errata right now.
Oh yeah.
Even after it gets its errata, it's still very powerful.
Oh yeah, and I mean, you know me. You know there is one deck that if I can build, even at post-errata, that will be able to run Goyo Guardian perfectly.
Oh, easily, and I'm absolutely terrified of that deck.
Speaking of... Yeah, guess who may have pulled the card they needed out of this set for it?
Oh, Jesus Christ. Did you get a Gateway?
Yes. The only reason I'm saying that now, instead of holding that to my chest, is because, one, if it's going to end up... The problem is, in order to run the legendary 6 Samurai, you need 3 keys on, which are super rares. So, unless I get lucky and manage to pull them or wildcard them early enough, let's be honest, there's a very good chance that one of those cards would get hit preemptively anyway. And on top of that, as much as it would be like, the thing is, even if I tell it to you now, and then at some point you decide, you know what, let's ban it just to protect it, then it means that I have to worry about one less card I'm currently using as a ban, like, to get banned, so...
But it'll be interesting to see what rounds there are for the banning, because there will be 5 total bans. How about we go resolve those?
Yeah, let's go ahead and resolve those real quick. So, which, I need to actually consider a change on one.
Alright then. Alright, you get 3 and I get 2, so I have to ask you, Demon Battler, what is the first card that you would like to send to the Netherworld today?
Okay, so for the first card we're sending to the Netherworld, this should
I know what this is.
This should come as absolutely no friggin' surprise. Rai, I am sorry. You may have won the SJC, but Crush Card Virus is going straight to hell.
Well, yeah, Crush Card Virus single-handedly wins the game as soon as it resolves.
I didn't even realize that CCV got eroded at some point. I didn't even realize that.
Yeah, it got eroded into unplayability around 2016, I think? It was right around Lynx, but it got eroded into absolute unplayability.
But yeah,
honestly, I'm okay with that going, because Blackwing is already crazy enough. It doesn't need, and that's the reason why I added the Feign and the Mistral, so that I could search for that off Blackwing and make CCV more consistent.
Right.
Because you don't need to deal with that on top of Blackwing. Alright, so my first card that I'm going to send to the Netherworld, and this should surprise no one at all. I have been trying to ban this card for 3 or 4 rounds now, but there's always been much more pressing cards for me to ban, and I can finally take a breather and get this card out of the format. And this is a vengeance ban for you hitting Feather Duster all that time ago. I'm gonna ban Heavy Storm.
Oh man. Well, I guess I shouldn't be too surprised. And it's not as much as it sucks, it's not the worst thing in the world, because we still have MST available. We both have MST. It's gonna be coming off the limited sometime soon.
Yeah, we're soon gonna have multiples of MST, and then
we're gonna have upgrades of it too. So
if we need more, we have like Dust.
Yeah, well,
I have Icarus Attack, so there's plenty of Acro removal out there. I just don't want to deal with Heavy Storm anymore.
Yeah, which, granted, I will say Icarus Attack is on my radar for later, but for this wave of bans, it's not actually on. It's not going to be directly in the site, so.
Because Icarus Attack gets great later as well, not just with Black Wings, but we have like Raid Raptor, Lyrlus.
Oh god.
There's great Wing Beast archetypes out there.
Oh yeah.
And there are even some Glad decks that have tried playing Icarus Attack as well, because it casts as a Wing Beast.
Yeah.
Alright, well, with Heavy Storm gone, I get to ask you again, Demon Battler, what card would you like to send on a one-way trip to the Netherworld?
Okay, so this one may seem a little more odd, but this is actually more a case of dealing with it in turbo duels, specifically because of the fact that, well, put it this way. Even if I kill it, I die, so we're gonna go ahead and drag Earthbound Immortal Asilapiscu back into the ground where it belongs.
That doesn't surprise me either.
Because that's the thing is, Kokopakapu is strong, don't get me wrong. But Sakuretsu armor tells it to go screw itself. No problem.
It does. It does.
Asilapiscu, however, literally says, okay, bye-bye board if that happens. So
yeah, Asilapiscu takes the board, and now the advantage swings your way in the turbo duels because you have 2 Earthbound Immortals to my 1, and I would need to reconsider it. Okay, so I have my second ban coming up, and this one might also surprise you a little bit. There have been several instances where I've wanted to play a machine deck for a really long time, and then I recently got the cards to play a machine deck, and then I lost a very critical duel that I needed to keep this card out of your hands, and it really hurts me to have to use a ban. And this is going to be the first extra deck monster that finds its way onto the ban list. I am banning Chimeratech Fortress Dragon.
You son of a bitch. Damn, that actually may be the first ban that's actually hurt me in quite a while. Like, granted, I have not had a chance to make use of it, but it's been a pretty prominent threat against machines, so...
My argument for banning Chimeratech Fortress Dragon is that both of us have multiples of Cyber Dragon.
Yeah.
And, like, I don't mind, like, Overdragon Super Poly shenanigans, because that requires a lot more setup. But just all you have to do to shut down any machine deck I could ever play is commit 1 extra deck slot.
Yeah.
And we're not at the point where extra deck slots are super tight. So I think that removing this card from the format to allow machine-based archetypes to see play is going to help out quite a bit once Black Wings inevitably get their wings clipped by the ban list.
Oh, yeah.
Because we're going to be losing a lot of cards, even if it's temporary. A lot of stuff is going to get clipped from Black Wings. We get most of it back pretty quickly, but I still think that for the purposes of just being able to play machine decks again, I just don't want to deal with Fortress Dragons specifically, and I think this is going to wind up putting system down inside decks again.
I think so, which is kind of a bit iffy, but yeah, it makes sense. So, I guess it's time for my third pick then, which... Yeah, you mentioned that the Blackwings are going to get their wings clipped a little bit in the ban lists. We're actually going to have that a little bit here, because I'm going to hit a card that might seem a little odd, but it has been a bit of a problem for me. I'm going to go ahead and clip the wings of Blackwing Sirocco the Dawn.
That's a really interesting Blackwing to hit.
The reason for this one is specifically because, yes, Kalut is a bigger pain in the ass in general. I recognize that. But the problem with Kalut is you have to have it in your hand or have a way to pull it to your hand. The problem with... Whereas Sirocco, it lets you summon to the field if you have nothing on the field. It lets you spam all of your other monsters like Bora, like Gale, things like that. And then on top of that, it gives you essentially a multi-use Kalut, effectively. And given the fact that we also have Bora, that means that that turns it into a much bigger pain in the rear to deal with. So, and on top of that, the fact that Sirocco is also a 5 means that you can actually make a lot better use of it in terms of levels for some higher level synchros later. So, honestly, I feel like Sirocco is a good way to clip... I feel like it's a good way to clip the wings of the deck a little bit without absolutely neutering it. Because, like, if I hit something like, say, Blizzard or Black Whirlwind or Kalut, that basically shuts the deck down entirely, and I don't necessarily want to kill it off yet.
Yeah. I was actually thinking you were going to hit Whirlwind, but Sirocco's I can see just because it makes it a lot harder to beat over big defensive threats like Hoplimus without committing to a Kalut or just committing resources in general, because all you have to do is just special summon one thing, And I think the big thing that hurts with the Sirocco ban, not just the fact that you can't do that anymore, but there's so fewer names.
Yeah.
But I think this is fine because Blackwings keep their relevance well into Xyz format and our format, and
Right, and I mean the other good thing, and that's the other thing too. Sirocco typically, like in the general constructed format, Sirocco wasn't all that big of a card in the first place. So in our case, it is a bit stronger because of our limited pools, but at the same time, it's also not so strong that clipping it removes the deck from effectiveness, which is kind of nice. So it'll help slow it down a little bit, and help try to keep things a little more fair and balanced.
I think so. And it'll be interesting to see how the removal of Sirocco affects the consistency of the Blackwing deck.
So, with that being said, now we only have one other thing to discuss before we go into our wheels, and that is the tins for 2009.
And that is the collector's tins, yes.
So
since I won the first duel, I have a big decision to make, and this is probably going to give away what my plans are going forward. For the first 4 cards, because these cards aren't great. Like, Wiriko Churrasca is not playable. Majestic Star Dragon is not playable. The funny thing is, with these, you would think that I would take AFD.
Oh.
But I'm not going to, and this is going to give away part of the reason why I banned Chimera Tech Fortress Dragon.
Oh, I know exactly what you're doing. I know exactly what you had in mind, and I'm very disappointed in this because, truth be told, Power Tool Dragon would make a very good addition to the Gladiator Beast deck in general.
Oh yeah, it's a very respectable Synchro 7, but yeah, I am definitely going to grab the Power Tool here.
Ah, man. See, the thing that's... Man, that actually really hurts, because... Do I... Wait. Oh, wait, Okay, so here's something funny. I thought I already had Ancient Fairy Dragon. That's why I was so bummed about it. I forgot. I'm getting my pools mixed up with my Edison deck that I recently built in paper, so...
I mean...
Okay, so yeah, I'll happily snatch the Ancient Fairy Dragon then, because that'll be a decent 7. That'll help pull some powerful field spells that we need, and also clear out specific field spells that we need.
And the rest of these cards are unplayable, unfortunately.
Yeah, so I guess it's just a case of pick whichever one you want to deal with.
You know what's really funny is in the case of Majestic Star Dragon, which I'm going to take for the meme, I actually pulled Majestic Dragon out of Stardust Overdrive.
Really now?
I did. I'm not planning on trying to make this, of course, but I actually did pull a Majestic Dragon. And I pulled a Stardust Xiaolong, too.
Okay, that's pretty cool. Yeah, I think I pulled 2 of the Stardust Xiaolong. I just didn't pull the Majestic Dragon, which...
The Majestic Dragon is a super rare.
Yeah. The thing about Majestic Dragon is, it wouldn't be a bad card if it weren't for the fact that it only works for Majestic monsters. Because that literally reduces it down to only 2 monsters that it can actually matter for.
Yup.
So... But I guess that means I'll be channeling my inner Rex Goodwin and pick up Wiriko Churrasca. So, yay! I've got myself... Okay, yeah, I forgot to actually mention this. So, I currently now own 3 Earthbound Immortals because I also picked up a copy of Raikourider from the packs.
Jesus Christ, Demon!
Yeah, so I literally have half of the Dark Signer's power in my pool. And aside from, like, one of them, I'm probably not planning on using them.
I mean, Kokoraya is really good, and I'm not looking forward to seeing that. This is actually going to be a serious problem going forward in Turbo Duels, not gonna lie.
Yeah. That's the thing, the Earthbound Immortals really get actually have a lot of power here because of the Turbo Duels. Beyond that, it's just going to be a lot harder to keep them in play, so... At least they're getting their time right now while they have it. So
They are, and maybe we'll see them for Absolute Power Force, which is another set that I've been looking forward to because it comes with one of the most beloved Forbidden and Limited List updates
yes,
in the
sir.
history of the game. We are going to be coming to my favorite format of all time with this set, Edison format.
Oh yes, we may not necessarily be an SJC Edison directly, but damn it, this is going to be one hell of an episode coming up. This is going to be a very fun, interesting concept, and especially given the fact that, well, put it this way, remembering what Jeff Jones won the tournament with, and knowing that you have Dandelion, and knowing that Quick Draw Synchron was a common for this set, yeah, I'm a little bit terrified, I'm not gonna lie.
Even know if I can actually make Quick Draw Dandy Warrior, though, especially not for Turbo.
True, true. Turbo's gonna be a bit harder, but it's gonna be interesting to see what happens, so. But definitely have some good cards in there, so time to go into our prize wheels.
It is.
Okay, so unfortunately that did not work out as I had hoped. Shoot. But we get 2 more spins on the catch-up wheel. We did have the option of going for 6 packs of Hidden Arsenal per spin instead, which Hidden Arsenal actually has quite a few good cards in the Secret Rare. Specifically, they have Brionic, Dragon of the Ice Barrier, they have Ally of Justice, Cataster, and they have Mistworm, which are 3 really powerful Synchro monsters. The problem with that, though, is even at 12, up to 12 packs, it's still 15 Secret Rares, and the odds of hitting any one of those 3 specifically would be really low. And given the fact that we don't, like, pretty much nothing else in the set is really good, at least not for our purposes, I think it's better to just spin the catch-up wheel twice. So we're going to go ahead, get our first spin, see what we hit. If we hit the reprint set, though, this will give me a chance at Duelist Pack Yusei, which is actually pretty good. Ooh, and Speak of the Devil. That's actually pretty good. So, good. That's 6 packs to Yusei that we get to go for. Okay, so let's take a quick peek at this set to see why I care so much about this. This actually has a lot of Yusei's cards, and it's, as you would expect for the Duelist Pack, but there's actually some really good cards. Like, in the rare slot, we have Junk Warrior, which I do have a couple plans for this still, and if we could pick up another copy of this, that would make things so much better for us. They also have Urgent Tuning, which is a really good battle trap, and if we can have, because this can help blank an attack as well as get a good monster on the field, usually at a point where it's hard to get it, so that's not too bad. Scrolling down into the super rares, they have Stardust Dragon again, which is really good. If we could get more than 1 copy, that'd be really nice. And then Give and Take is an interesting card. The only issue is just the fact that it's a little gimmicky, but it's still kind of neat nonetheless. And then scrolling here, this is where the big ones come in. Armory Arm is a huge card, and the fact that we actually have Colossal Fighter means that this can enable some really insane bullshit. Because there's actually a OTK available with Armory Arm and Colossal Fighter, because the idea is you attach Armory Arm to an opponent's monster to boost their attack power higher than what Colossal Fighter's attack would be, and then you just keep running Colossal Fighter into it, because Colossal Fighter can keep reviving itself from the graveyard when it dies in battle, and Armory Arm has the effect that if it's equipped to a monster, and that monster destroys a monster in battle, then you deal damage to your opponent equal to the attack of the destroyed monster. And because of how this kind of thing works, if you equip this to your opponent's monster, your opponent still takes the damage because it's your card getting the effect off. So you just keep ramming Colossal Fighter in to deal 2,800 damage to your opponent per attack, and it basically lets you one-shot them in like 3 attacks. So if we can pull this, this is going to be a horrifying moment for Rai to deal with. And then looking at the commons, most of the commons we actually already have playsets of, pretty much. But the fact that we have access to more Junk Synchron is really nice. Speed Warrior, maybe we'll have some use to that, I'm not sure. But just in general, Junk Synchron is like the key common we want to see out of this. So yeah, we're going to go ahead, get 6 packs of Duelist Pack Yusei. Let's see what we start with. And right off the bat, Junk Synchron, good sight, good sight. Urgent Tuning, really glad to see at least 1 copy of that. Second pack. Ooh, hoo, hoo. Okay, so we hit another Speed Warrior, so that's nice. We hit a 3rd Turbo Warrior, which is hilarious. Third pack. Nitro Synchron's actually not terrible, given the fact that we have a Nitro Warrior. So, 4th pack. Fourth pack is kind of whatever. 5th pack. Again, kind of whatever. No big deal. And then 6th pack. We hit it! We fucking hit it! Yes! 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 We fucking hit Armory Arm, dude! Alright, you are so fucked if we pull this off. I mean, granted, if we pull this off once, Rai is guaranteed to hit Armory Arm, but still. Oh, man. The only way this would be... I mean, the only downside is the fact that we didn't hit a second Junk Synchron, so right now this means we only have 2 copies of it. But honestly, I'm not upset. This is probably the best it could be, aside from hitting a 3rd Junk Synchron and maybe another Stardust Dragon just for the hell of it. Damn, dude, we really fucking lucked out. I don't care what we spin on this next spin for the catch-up wheel, because we pretty much hit gold out of that damn set, and I'm ecstatic now. Oh my god. And it just keeps getting better. Oh my god, this is gonna be sweet. Now I have to figure out what I want to pick up. Okay, so, since we're allowed to go as far back as Phantom Darkness, which, whoo boy, this is a set that actually has some pretty good ultra rares, we're going to go ahead and pick up a copy of Allure of Darkness. The reason we're going to pick up this is because, 1, this is a really good draw spell, and 2, the fact that Rai has 2 of these means that it is very unlikely that he's going to hit this for a ban. And honestly, I was considering hitting this for a ban at some point too, but being able to pick up a copy of this and help our dark decks really nicely is going to be very nice. So, all in all, we hit some crazy shit. And I know we hit some really crazy shit last time too. And you know what? Yeah, I'll admit, I screwed up on the first game, so that was definitely my bad. But you know what? We're gonna get this. Next episode starts us off in the second half of 5Ds. It's going to be Edison format, which is a huge moment for us. Both of us really like that. And honestly, this is going to be, I'm hoping, a huge turning point. So with that being said, guys, thank you for watching. We will catch you guys next time. Have a great night.